and helping out people along the way. Like, I think it's our duty as we get a little bit older to mentor down and help people, you know, realize that chasing the money and chasing the dream really isn't what you should be doing. What you should be doing is chasing joy. I think my life would have been 1,000 times better if I had started chasing joy when I was in my 30s instead of chasing the money and the dream. Because money doesn't always bring you joy.
I'm Candice Renardi. This is Gratitude Geek, where we explore how gratitude, connection, and authenticity can grow your business and your life. Today, we're talking with Gretchen Schoser, who turned a personal mental health crisis into a mission-driven company and an award-winning podcast. Get ready for insights on people-first leadership, gratitude as strategy, and building a business that actually feels good. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me today.
So, Gretchen, tell us your story.
So let me start with the bad part first, and then we'll go to the good part. So the bad part is, it's not bad because it helped me grow. On Christmas Day, 2022, I attempted suicide. Thank God for the 988 crisis and suicide hotline. I am alive today because of them. I was within 20 minutes of taking my life, but I'd had a lot of really horrible things happen in a really short period of time. And at the time, I was 59 and a half. I didn't understand what was going on inside my head. I didn't understand. I couldn't find my voice or my footing. And I was working for a company that had offered me an early retirement. So in all things, that should have been good. But at the time, there's still ageism in the workforce. I still wanted to be able to pay for my bougie toys. I, still wanted to be able to be a supportive member of our household. And so that was one of it was a good thing, but a bad thing at the same time. So the day after all the crazy went down, like I said, thank God in 988, they gave me some resources that I could use the very next day. So I did get into therapy, but I also opened up to social media. I am a true extrovert and an empath. And absolutely no one knew how depressed I was. Not my coworkers, not my wife, not my friends, my family. Nobody knew. And so I wanted to let people know what was going on with me. And I put my social media post out there, and I had about 200 people reach back out to me and say thank you, because now they felt seen, they felt heard, and they felt validated, and that they knew that they weren't alone in this journey. And so I kept posting to social media every day. I would rate my days from 1 to 10. 1 being, I don't want to get out of bed. 10 being, I'm feeling like my old self again. And so that was my first healer. My second healer was laughter, because here's what laughter does for you. Laughter releases that cortisol. It increases your serotonin, gives you some endorphins. And so no matter if you're having a crap day, you can go back and reflect on that, that laughter. And so our podcast came about because of me, because our mission is to normalize how we talk about mental health and making people felt seen and heard and validated, and helping to remove stigma and shame and weakness. And part of those, 3 of those things were things that I was feeling because I couldn't fix myself. So as part of fixing myself was this podcast. And so it was during one of those really super reverent phone calls with my co-host. We had worked together at the time, and I use this term super loosely. She was my manager. But we'd been friends for 7 years, and I was getting ready to retire 2 months later. But we would call every morning right before work, and we would laugh about stuff you should never, ever, ever, ever laugh about. But those things helped heal me. They helped me laugh and feel joy and make things in life not seem so hard. So the podcast came about, and then I retired from my job of 15 years, decided to go live my life, and ended up getting a job with a really small consulting firm, because I still wanted to use my brain. I had plenty of brain power left, and I wanted to share my knowledge with the world, and I was still healing. And then in November of last year, that small consulting firm I was working for got picked up by one of the top 5 consulting firms in the world. Okay, so most of my life I had compromised on what I would do that would make me happy. This time I wasn't compromising. And as soon as the news came, like my whole attitude changed and I got super depressed. But this time everybody knew where I stood because I didn't hide behind that mask. I became very vulnerable. I let people know. I had resting bitch face for months. Like you can't hide it. Once you turn that on, it doesn't get turned back off until the situation changes. And it was during December, my wife and I were in New York City for the holiday. And we were at dinner, and she turned to me and she's like, I know you really hate your job. You can quit. So if you've ever been in that situation, to me, I felt like I had a weighted x-ray blanket come off my shoulders. And I was like, okay, this is perfect. But there's a but. Remember, I still wanted my bougie toys. I still wanted to help change the world. And so we were flying home from New York City the following day, and I forgot how long it takes to de-ice a plane. It takes a couple hours. I had my resume. I had ChatGPT on my phone. Sitting on the tarmac, I uploaded my resume to ChatGPT, and I'm like, based on this information, design an independent consulting firm for me. And it did. And about 2 minutes later, it came back. But there was about 2/3 of some crap that I really didn't want to do because I'd done that all in my earlier career. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So I came back to work on January 2nd, put in my 2 weeks notice. Everybody was surprised. I'm like, do you all not know how to read the room? Apparently not. And then I officially launched my business on January 22nd.
Wow.
And it comes from a place of passion. It really does.
As it should.
And gratitude. I'm grateful for, people call me crazy, but I'm grateful that I went through that really hard stuff because it made me realize what's really important.
I haven't gotten to the point where I want to put ChatGPT on my phone yet.
It's a game changer.
But, however, the idea, and again, I haven't had a job in almost 30 years, so I don't have a resume. I have my I have my life experience. But the idea of uploading your resume and saying, based on this information, design a consulting business for me, or based on the information, design a business for me that so I can be a solopreneur. Because that was a brilliant use of ChatGPT.
It was perfect for me because I was able to take not only my working experience, but my life experience as a podcast host for 2.5 years. By that time we had released over 100 episodes, and they're all about mental wellness and people's journeys and just my own growth. And I was like, you know what, let's just give it a shot. And I was impressed with what it came back with. Like I said, I wiped out about 2/3 of what it told me I could do because, I don't know, you get over the age of 61 and you're like, I don't want to do that anymore.
I did not think we were going to go down this lane, but I'm going to go down this lane. So in my previous episode, it's a solo episode of just me talking about how I use AI tools. And one of the tools that I use is Notebook LM, which is a Google tool, and it's for research. So what I've done is I've uploaded the links to all of the YouTube videos for my podcast, and I put them by year. So I have one notebook for 2025, one for 2024, one for 2023. I haven't gone to 2022 or 2021 yet or 2020. I'm not ready for those yet. But I can go into all the episodes for the year and say, what was the overarching theme for all of the episodes from this year? Or which of these episodes specifically talks about financing for small business? And it's so brilliant the research that I can do. And now, because I have created this tool, which I go into much deeper in episode 285, y'all, if the audience wants to listen. But with this tool, I can now repurpose my podcast episodes in a way that I never would have been able to do before. Because now I can, extract information and put them together in like cornerstone content for my blog. The top 5 pieces of advice my podcast guests have given me about LinkedIn, right? And I don't have to do anything because all the content's there, but now I can use it, which is what you did with your resume.
It is. I'm an old dog too. There's not a lot of people in their 60s that are using the AI tools, and I use it to my advantage.
You're not that old. You're just a few years older than me, so don't say that.
Listen, I just turned 62, and I know I look a beautiful 12, but my body will tell you I am 200 million years old every day.
Based on the conversation we had before we started recording, you're 5, so let's just keep it real.
I am 5. And you know what? I'm a happy 5. But, one of the reasons I decided to start my own company was, one, I was tired of corporate America. I was tired of working for the man. I was tired of being told what to do and how to do it. Because I had spent 45 years in corporate America, I knew how to do my job. I knew what customers wanted. And for me, it's really not about the money. It's about, helping customers see value in what they've purchased. So my company's two phases or 2 parts. One part of my company is I work with UKG software, and I help customers implement their UKG recruiting and onboarding.
What's UKG?
So it's a payroll software company, HR payroll software, and I worked for them for 15 years. Then I took an early retirement, then worked for a small consulting firm, and I'm certified to, help implement those 2 pieces of software. But I can also do training, and I can do system reviews and things like that. And then the other side of my business is all about wellness and mental wellness and making sure that companies are taking care of their employees' mental health. Because in the 45 years that I worked, only one company did it right. The others sucked at it. And today, more than ever, employees need those resources because the world is literally on fire.
Yeah.
And I was able to take all that horrible pain and turn it into purpose. And every day I get to live my purpose. And not many people get to say that. But I will say I am extremely grateful to be alive today. I'm grateful that period of my life taught me things about myself I didn't know. I've been going to therapy. I go to therapy, twice a month. Still, I will do that until I feel like I don't need to go anymore. And I don't know. I'm 62, so it could be another 20 years. We'll be fine with that. But if you're out there and you're doing the grind and you're a solopreneur, you have to be grateful for the things you have. Be grateful that you have a customer, or be grateful that you have a computer or your internet. Just the little things. And you don't have to compromise, right? That, to me, was the biggest thing for me. So, at the beginning of the summer, I decided I'm going to take every Monday off until it gets cold again. And why did I choose a Monday? Because everybody else takes Fridays off. Mm-hmm. So I took Mondays off, and now I don't have to contend with kids, and the parks are a little quieter, and I get to still have that 3-day weekend, because there are some weekends that I'm hyper-focused on our podcast. So I don't get a full weekend. And, we record 7 episodes one Saturday a month.
Holy moly.
That Sunday afterwards, I am mentally tapped out.
I'm mentally tapped out after 1 episode a day. Sometimes I do 2, and I can't even make dinner that night.
No! You threw off my groove.
Yeah, man. The reason why I did the episode last week was because I had somebody that I really respect posted that AI is for rich people to steal ideas from poor people, or something like that. That wasn't the exact quote, but I was like, girl, you got that wrong. You got that so wrong. AI makes it possible for poor people to become rich.
Oh yeah, like another great use if you're a solopreneur, another great use for AI. I use OpenAI. You can create tools like web-based tools to have on your website. I'm building those tools right now. I'm building out some mental wellness tools that employers can use to like help manage stress and burnout and things like that. Make your life simpler, not harder. And
Yep.
and that was like the other thing that I wanted to do when I opened my company. I wanted to make my life simpler, not harder. And I wanted to find joy in stuff that I'm doing every day. Like the other day, I wanted to take a nap. Okay, as a solopreneur, you can turn around and talk to yourself, be like, hey, can I take a nap today? And you come back and say yay or nay, right? Other things that happen.
You can always take a nap.
You can listen. You can find a way to take a nap always. And if you're like giving up those naps now, I'm telling you, when you hit 60, you're going to want every single one of those naps back. But like the other thing that I get to do with those tools is it helps me manage my day a little bit better. I ask it all the time. I'm like, am I cheating by having you help me, code a web app? No. You know why? Because it's my idea. They're just doing the work for me because it's smarter, faster than I am. And being an entrepreneur, solopreneur for myself, I'm grateful for so many things. But I'm grateful for all those lessons I learned when I was younger that I can circle back to where I am now. And helping out people along the way. Like, I think it's our duty as we get a little bit older to mentor down and help people, realize that chasing the money and chasing the dream really isn't what you should be doing. What you should be doing is chasing joy. I think my life would have been 1,000 times better if I had started chasing joy when I was in my 30s instead of chasing the money and the dream. Because money doesn't always bring you joy. And the other thing I love about being a solopreneur is that all these amazing people I've met and reminding myself that I still need to keep my boundaries. So like over the weekend, on Friday, we have a newsletter that goes out the day before our episodes go out. And I had realized that I wasn't respecting my boundaries. So, if you were a solopreneur, start respecting your boundaries, right? Start respecting the amount of time that you spend working, the amount of time you spend with your loved ones, the amount of time you spend outside, because that all affects your mental health. If you're not taking care of your mental health, then you can't really take care of your customers, can't take care of your family. I know that everybody says self-care and self-love are buzzwords. They're not. It's exactly what I didn't do for myself. Being an extrovert and an empath, I took care of everybody else. I didn't take care of me. So if you're working by yourself, make sure you're taking care of you. Make sure you're eating. Make sure you're drinking. Get up and walk away from your desk. If it's nice outside, get outside. Breathe some fresh air. But be thankful that you get to do this because not everybody in the world gets to do this. Or they're afraid. And kudos to anybody that just started this journey.
So speaking of just starting this journey, let's imagine that the listener has a job right now. They work for a corporation and they are ready to do what you did and walk away. What is your advice to them?
My advice is start making a list. Make a list of things that you're really good at. Then in that same piece of paper. So the things that you're really good at, the things you're kind of good at, and the things you want to learn. Then once you have that list of things that you're really good at, start thinking about ways you can incorporate that into like a solopreneur life. Can you be a coach? Maybe. Do you want to, sign up with Upwork and maybe do some gig work, 1099 work? So 1099 work for people that are listening and working at a regular 9-to-5 job. 1099 work means that they don't take any taxes out. So just make sure you have a good accountant. Find the thing in that list that brings you the most joy. Like, we all do a ton of things, right? But find that one thing that brings you a ton of joy and hyper focus on that. Look out onto the internet, or look on Indeed or Fiverr or Upwork and see if anybody else is doing kind of what you're doing in that field.
And that's another place where that you can take that list that you created and feed that into ChatGPT and say, based on this list, what are some ideas on gig work that I can do on Upwork or Fiverr?
Yeah.
And then that gives you, it just niches it down and gives you a place to start.
It does. I mean, that's kind of what I did when I shoved my resume into chat. I'm like, figure it out, because after 45 years in corporate America, my brain was a little tapped, and I was like, I don't have the energy for this, but you're smarter than I am, and you can take care of this. And it did.
My chat GPT is named River, and I think of River as my water cooler, my brainstorming partner. It's a tool, but it's also a way for me to get, I might have a tiny little idea. Okay, here's my tiny idea. Let's expand on it. And then going back and forth, sometimes River comes up with really weird ideas. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And you can say, dude, I don't like that idea at all. And River will say, okay, I get it. And when you have trained the GPT by interacting with it enough, it starts to understand you a lot better. Something else you can do is, if you've been using GPT for a while, you can say something like, what are 3 skills that I have that I've forgotten I have? And that will maybe help you identify something that you can do that you weren't thinking about because it's not top of mind right now.
I just did that the other day.
Did you?
I was like, yeah, because I'm out pitching new work right now, and I'm like, well, what are some skills that I could pitch out? And that's another great tool that I use chat for. I name my Chad.
Chad?
Listen, Chad, I need to send a pitch email. And I give Chad my specifications, and it comes out looking very nice, very professional, very humanized. I tweak it a little bit. But, I've been using Chad now for 2 years. And Chad knows me well. He knows my brand. He knows my tone. He knows more about the podcast than I know. He remembers things that are, you get old, you forget things. But for that person out there that is just done, right? Find the thing that brings you the most joy, because you would be surprised. There are a ton of solopreneur gigs out there. Yeah, you still have to chase them. They don't come strolling up to your doorstep and be like, hey, are you ready to work? You have to be able to sell yourself. For me, that's the hardest part, is selling myself.
And something that I know from personal experiences, if you are really good at something, but it doesn't bring you joy, it doesn't matter how good you are at it, you're never going to be happy doing it.
Yeah.
I could have been an accountant. I'm good at math. I just don't find joy in it.
Right.
I would have failed miserably as an accountant.
And for me, I know SQL, I know things like that. Yeah, I'm really good at it, but do I want to do it every day of my life? No. So it came off the list. The stuff that I just didn't want to do came off the list, and it was no sweat off my back. I'm like, I'll just figure it out as I go. And that's the kind of cool thing about being a solopreneur, is you get to tweak and move and shake however you want, whatever that day brings for you. And as long as you remain grateful for being able to do that every day, it makes even the slow days really good. But I will tell you, since I started my own business, I'm busier now than I've ever been, ever. but it's in my own doing because now I get to do stuff like I get to tap into things and ideas that I never got to tap into before.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start building a rapport and a customer base, and if the person that's listening to this and you're sitting at your crappy job and you're like, I'm done, make sure that you start reaching out to your colleagues, your coworkers, things like that. Have them start putting in some good references for you in LinkedIn. That does help, especially if you're going to go out on your own. Reach out to like maybe somebody you worked with like 5-10 years ago that you kept a good rapport with. Tell them that you're thinking about stepping out on your own. Listen to other people's advice. Like we always think like we give ourselves the best advice. I'm going to say that pans out about 6% of the time.
We don't give ourselves the best advice. No.
Like it pans out maybe 6% of the time. Listen to what other people have to say. If you're not really into watching a YouTube video, go listen to an audiobook. Mm-hmm. Or go listen to a different podcast. Somebody to kind of give you some insight.
Yeah. There are so many great podcasts out there. There's excellent YouTube content and excellent podcast content. If there is something that you want to learn, you're going to find it. Someone is teaching it. I have almost 300 awesome episodes of this podcast where you can learn something every week too. So
and that's what I love, right? So between like my company and my podcast, I'm touching lives every day. And if that's something you want to do is be able to touch people's lives or make a difference.
Yeah.
The best way to do it is gig work, man.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your podcast. We've skirted around it. The podcast is called Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. Oh, sorry, I forgot to make the disclaimer that it's NSFW.
Yeah,
this episode is explicit. I have to put the little explicit button on it.
This one's not safe for work, but and when you look up the podcast name, it's shit with an exclamation point because,
in the middle.
In the middle,
so that the social media or the search engines will actually list it. So, okay, you said that you record. And I'm sorry I haven't listened to the show yet, but you said you record 7 episodes on a Saturday, so that means it's a daily show?
No. So what we do is we record 7 episodes one Saturday a month, and we just now started releasing 2 episodes a week. We had a pretty high backlog, and fall's coming up, and I want to have a bunch of stuff out on waiting done because I don't want to have to deal with it. But yeah, that's what we do.
So how long are the episodes?
They range anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. And some of the podcast episodes are become 2-parters.
Okay. So you are recording 10 hours probably then if they're that long.
No, we record 7 hours. So if somebody comes on and we know it's going to be a 2-parter, they just get booked for 2 slots.
Oh, okay. So you do have an interview show and you have a co-host. Mm-hmm. So how do you manage that part of it? Because for a lot of people who are thinking about having a podcast, the idea of doing all the work is hard, but having a co-host could make it easier. So how do you handle that part of it?
Well, here was the deal when we decided to do the podcast. So my co-host still works for a horrible company, and I was semi-retired. So I took on all the business responsibilities for the podcast, but then we parsed some of the work out. So I parse out the editing because we used to record on Zoom. We just now moved to Riverside. But I send all my editing out to our dude in Australia. He does a great job. He does better than I do because I don't want to deal with it. But I also have to manage not just the recordings, but we pre-record. So we meet with each of our guests before we sign them up to be on the podcast because we are booked out with guests until September of 2026.
Wow.
We are we're in the top 10 mental health podcasts in the U.S. And so we have a lot of guests finding us by just searching for mental health podcasts.
Yeah.
And we're not like your typical mental health podcast, because when I was going through my stuff, like the podcasts I found were very dry, very clinical. We are the exact opposite of that. We throw a little bit of laughter in, even during the hard topics, because laughter makes those hard topics easier to digest. And we focus a lot on people's mental health journeys, because every time we share our journey, we unlock somebody else's prison. And I don't want people to feel as alone and terrified in their journey as I felt in mine.
And you felt alone in your journey, but you were married and you had a support system, but you still felt alone. That is something that is seriously broken in our society, is that we feel like we can't share the hard stuff. But everybody has the hard shit. And sometimes if you don't have enough fiber, you have the hard shit.
We do. We have hard shit. But, I also had to come to terms with, like, it was okay to finally open up onto LinkedIn. Right?
Oh, yeah, because that's like the last place that you want to share the hard shit. Yeah.
That was the very last place. But I also reminded myself that is part of the stigma, part of the shame, part of the weakness. So I opened up onto social media to my LinkedIn crew, and now everybody knows I am a suicide attempt survivor, but I am a productive member of society. I'm a subject matter expert in my field, and I have an award-winning podcast. And if companies are not looking at the whole picture, and if they're just looking at the name of the podcast, you're not understanding. And so if you're thinking about starting a podcast, screw the fear. Because you know what? If the company that you were targeting doesn't feel comfortable with your content, they're not the right company.
Oh, God. Please. That is why you need to be so authentic, because the last thing you want to do is attract people who you don't want to work with, because it's so draining. It is so draining to have a client that doesn't spark joy, right?
Yeah.
So when you are completely authentic, you're going to repel those clients that you don't want to deal with. All right.
And then you bring in the clients that you want. Like, everybody is trying. There are companies out there and individuals that are working hard to normalize how we talk about mental health. And mental health is not just a home issue. It is a work issue. It is a society issue. The more we talk about it, the better things become. And over the last 2.5 years, I've seen the LinkedIn community really rise to the occasion. And so I don't fear that anymore.
Well, LinkedIn has sort of changed as well. I mean, it used to be job seekers. That's where job seekers hang out. It's not like that anymore. It's where 15 years ago, Ivan Cisco, who was his name. Ivan Cisco is his name. I went to a training by this guy, Ivan Cisco, and he says, and this was 15 years ago. He goes, "Do you know why people log into Facebook?" And we're like, everybody had a different answer. He goes, "It's because we're nosy. It's because we're nosy. We want to know what other people are up to." And LinkedIn rises above that. LinkedIn isn't about being nosy. LinkedIn is about, how can I help you, or how can I be helped? Mm-hmm. Facebook is still nosy, where people go when they're nosy, and Instagram too. Instagram's for nosy people too. But LinkedIn is still the place you go when you really want help with something.
It is. Think of LinkedIn as the adult version of Facebook. It helps businesses. It's helped me. And if you are going out on your own and you're doing a podcast or your own company, post on LinkedIn a lot, because that's about where you're going to get most of your customers from.
Oh, we need to clarify that though, because the people who use Facebook are a little bit older, and the people who use LinkedIn are a little bit younger for the most part. So
Listen, I broke that rule.
Facebook is for your old is it really, I mean, the demographics of Facebook are aging. I mean, it's not, Facebook isn't used by a lot of young people. LinkedIn is used by a more robust and diverse subset of or bracket of people. So anyway, and I always felt like as a solopreneur, LinkedIn wasn't a good platform for me, but I make sure that my podcast episodes are posted to LinkedIn every week. I might not engage there a lot. I don't engage on social media very much at all because it
gets to be a lot.
My heart was so broken like 9 months ago. All of the goodness was drained from me. All the happiness was drained from me. And I couldn't even face the fact that so many of people that I thought were decent humans ended up not being a decent human, that I had to remove myself from socials. And I'm just now slowly interacting again, but I am on and off. I don't spend a lot of time on social media at all.
I spend more time in LinkedIn because I'm out there like building a customer base and, really.
And that's where your customers are. So that's important as well, because you are doing B2B, right? People doing business to consumer might not have the same experience on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And I'm out there and I'm posting my socials and I, post about mental health and I'm getting people thinking. And that's really what I wanted to do. Even if I don't get a lead from that, I want people to think. I want companies to think about what are your employees feeling today? Because I will tell you, because the world is on fire. Mm-hmm. People are going to work every day. And not only do they have the normal everyday work stuff going on, but there's a lot of noise coming in from the outside. If companies do not step up to the plate now and start addressing their employees' mental health, their attrition is going to go through the roof. And we are seeing this time and time again. Now, I don't have to worry about the attrition part anymore because I work for myself and I am like all by myself. I do have some kids that help me out. I'm going to call them kids because they're in their 20s. But they, help me with my social media. They help build my website. If you are a solopreneur and you know some kids that are really good at like maybe social media marketing or website design, see if they'll help you out. Like for the first couple of months, I paid them with Amazon gift cards because that's all I had.
I had a guy that I knew that was much younger. I still know him. He's much younger than me, and he has a YouTube channel where he, you know what a fingerboard is? It's a skateboard that you use your fingers. So he makes fingerboard accessories, and he's really good with videos. And he used my phone to record a video of me using my phone and me, and that is the #1 video on my YouTube channel, on my main YouTube channel. Just because he did something. I don't know what he did, but it's better than anything I've ever made.
Yeah, and like if you want to get out there, like these kids, and I will call them kids, but they bring a fresh perspective. Like don't diss them. Like my website is a totally custom website.
Yeah.
Built from the scratch.
I'll link to Andrew's YouTube channel in the show notes, y'all, if you're curious what fingerboarding is.
I do want to see that. I do. I've fallen and I can't get up. But like I use a bunch of different tools, right? I use LinkedIn. I use Instagram. I don't do TikTok. Believe me, I tried. It's not going to happen in my lifetime. Not. But I use chat and I use like an email list and.
You need to check out Notebook LM.
I'm gonna. That's on my list of things to do.
It is a game-changing tool. Again, it's for research. It doesn't do the things that ChatGPT does. It's for research. So if you need to learn how to if you buy like a great use of Notebook is to upload the manual that goes with something that you just bought, and you can say, how do I stop the blinking light on my litter robot? And it'll read the manual and tell you how to stop the blinking light on your. I mean, it's lazy because you could just look it up yourself in the manual, but It just, it saves time.
I use it to dumb down stuff for me, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm reading a super technical article. Okay, can you dumb this down and summarize it in 5 points?
Yeah.
That's what I want.
That is why I love Blinkist, which is what it does is it takes a book and it synopsizes it into 15 minutes and then it reads it to you, reads you the 15-minute synopsis. And that way I can just, first of all, I don't have to listen to the whole book if I hate it. But if I listen to the synopsis and I love it, then I can listen to the whole book. So that's the same thing. It bullet points down, 5 steps, 3 points, 15 minutes, whatever, and says, okay, this is an interesting concept, right? And sometimes you get enough out of the 15 minutes as you would have if you read the whole book. But sometimes you're like, oh, I really want to learn more about this. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
and Blinkist probably uses AI to come up with these synopsises.
Probably. Like, use the tools that are available to you. Like, if you are sitting at a job right now and you really, really, really hate what you're doing, now's the perfect time because the job market's crap, right? But if you go out on your own, more companies are apt to pick up a 1099 employee than they are a full-time employee.
Okay, hold on. I want to address this. You said this earlier, and I want to make sure as a business coach, I am telling the audience that if you are doing 1099 work, you better have an LLC.
Yes.
If you do not have an LLC, do not do 1099 work because you will end up paying through the nose in taxes. Okay, I've said my piece.
Yeah, so I am an LLC. That was the very first thing I did. Like, I'm telling you, when I quit my job on January 2nd, 2025, the very next thing I did was for my LLC.
That was 8 months ago. Look at how much you've accomplished in 8 months.
It's crazy to think about that, though. And, I've had 2 customers. I co-authored a ebook with Calmery and Lisa Sugarman. We called it the Mental Health Toolkit. Like, it's available on LinkedIn. You can go click it, get a lead. I get a lead out of that. I've written a ton of articles. I am getting ready to go to a conference in October. I just got notified that I'm a finalist as a speaker. Talk about a little nerve-wracking, right? But I'm out sharing my story because I want people to see me as a story of hope. Mm-hmm. I took the burnout, the stress, the depression, the anxiety, the suicide attempt, and I turned it into something beautiful. And you can still do that every single day. Like, I don't compromise anymore. Like, my days of compromising stopped. And
I love that.
I kind of just took the horse by the reins and like, let's go. And I really set up some serious boundaries. But like I said earlier, I've been messing up with that a little bit. And I'm going back and redefining what my boundaries are. And as a solopreneur, please, please, please take care of your mental health. It's just as important as feeding yourself.
Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about this concept that you share called human-centered leadership. Mm-hmm. So solopreneurs listening to this are like, I don't need to be a leader because I'm a solopreneur.
You're still a leader. You know why you're a leader? Because you are trying to bring people together. And, everybody comes to the table with a different set of emotions, a different set of ideas, a different set of negativity. But if you're people-centered, you want to make sure everybody's heard. So if you have people sitting at the table, you better make sure that everybody that's sitting at that table gets a chance to talk. Because 9 times out of 10 in the corporate environment, they don't get heard. They don't get to say, they don't have a voice. Be kind. Lead from your heart. Because there's that connection between your heart and your head. If those two are not aligning when you're working with people, then you need to reevaluate. Maybe it's not the right customer for you. Maybe your approach was a little off the cuff and they weren't expecting that. Be honest with yourself. And listen, we still make mistakes. I make mistakes every single day. Do I get mad about it? I do, but I don't get as mad as I did 20 years ago. Okay, I made a mistake. You know what? Let's try something different. But leading from your heart and really focusing on the people makes all the difference in the world. Because remember that these people are helping pay you. They're helping put food on your table. They're making sure that you get to pay your electric bill. And you know what? They're human. They're not robots. So, you know, how we talk a lot about AI, you still have to bring the human aspect into that. You know, lead with a little bit of empathy, you know. Come in with a smile.
Have you ever had AI help you write an article and then taken the article and copy and pasted it into a new chat and said improve it?
Yes.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. And so, like, there's another tool I use, too. It's called AI Detector. So that, like, when you write an article, you want to make sure it doesn't really sound like it's AI. Same thing goes for being, you know, people-centric. If you're using chat or anything, just tell it to humanize what your content is. So it doesn't use words like delve or use, like, an extra hyphen or things like that.
Okay,
so
that hyphen thing drives me nuts because I have been using hyphens that way I'm 55 years old, so probably 40 years. I have used hyphens like that for 40 years. And I am not AI. You know? So I use semicolons and colons in my writing. You know? So.
And that's all good, but, you know, we want to come across as humans.
Yeah.
We want to come across as being joyful and being helpful and, I don't know, be nice, okay? Be kind to your customers, right? You have no idea what's going on in their life. And 9 times out of 10, crap rolls downhill, right?
Yeah. You really never have any idea what's going on in somebody's life. It's not your fault. If somebody's rude to you, it's not on you. It's on them.
It's on them.
Or somebody, you know, your job is to be kind.
Yeah. Be kind. Be
your job
human.
is to always be kind.
You know, approach things with in a different lens, right? Like maybe you've done this 8,000 times, but your customer seems a little rough around the edges. I always start a meeting with a joke. It breaks the tension. Not everybody in my corporate life saw that as a cool thing to do, but you know what? I don't work in corporate America anymore. I start every conversation, every customer call with some lightheartedness, because you know what? That makes you vulnerable.
Yep.
And you open up a little something in their soul.
Yep.
So.
And laughter makes the endorphins sets the mood because the endorphins are positive endorphins instead of negative endorphins. Or I don't know if there are such a thing as negative endorphins, but so I've been living with metastatic breast cancer for 11 years, and that means that a lot of people will message me and say, I was just diagnosed with cancer, or my mother was just diagnosed with cancer, or my brother has cancer. And the number one piece of advice I give is make sure you watch a lot of funny movies.
Yeah.
Just watch a lot of funny movies. Because it's scary and you're not feeling well and you could be sick. I mean, there's so many things that are going on. If you just laugh, your body heals itself.
It does. So, you know, starting January 20th, I turned off every single news feed on my phone. And I started a new practice. Every morning when I wake up, for the first 20 minutes, I watch a funny video. And right now, it's raccoons, deer, bears on the trampoline, ducks, and like music videos from the 80s. So that's my first 20 minutes. It makes me laugh, gets my serotonin going. And then after that, I stand up and I say what I'm grateful for. And I started that gratitude practice on January 20th. I'm now 9 months in, and I still do the same thing, even on the weekends. And that gratitude practice has made me more thoughtful in my approach.
You know, a lot of times it's really hard to come up with that thing to be grateful for, or those 3 things to be grateful for, or whatever it is. Sometimes it's just, I am grateful. Just say, I am grateful.
I'm grateful. Listen, I didn't fall out of bed. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that my knee is not making me feel like I'm 200 million years old today. Things like that. But when you think of like humanity and people-centric and kindness, you always have to turn the mirror back on yourself and make sure you're doing those same things for you, because we're not robots. We're humans. We cry. We get angry. We get frustrated.
Yep.
Be kinder to yourself. Like if you find that as a solopreneur, you're doing a lot of negative self-talk, turn that around. Turn it into a positive. It's amazing how that happens. If you're like me, if you have ADHD, okay, like adult onset ADHD sucks. Last week I was trying to bill a customer. I started it on Monday. Do you know that I didn't finish it until Friday? Because shiny new objects.
Gretchen is grateful for finishing the billing.
I was grateful for getting the billing done. Did I like yell at myself? No, I like just made more Post-it notes so I remember to do it. Offer yourself kindness and compassion too, because you're out there doing something new, something that they didn't really train us in school to do. But have fun with it, because this is your time in life that you need to make money, but it's on your time, not nobody else's timeline. You set that timeline. And I will say, being a solopreneur, marketing myself sucks. Okay, and I have a really hard time with that. But me and Chad are best buddies, and Chad gives me tips that I didn't really think about in the beginning. And so every Wednesday I send out 5 pitch emails. Do I get work out of it? I don't know yet, but I'm going to keep doing it. But like owning your own company and doing your own thing, God, I am going to tell you, it's super rewarding. Super rewarding. It's scary a lot of times, but it's so much more rewarding than it is scary.
Yeah. So I have a new download for the listeners. It's 8 bold experiments that help move the needle in your business. And each of the experiments includes a chat GPT or an AI prompt that gives you an outside the box result, something like Gretchen just said. How can I market my business differently? So that the link to that is in the show notes, but it's CandiceRidardi.com/bold if you'd like that download. But it does exactly what Gretchen just said. It helps you do those little things that will just move the needle just a little bit in the right direction for your business.
And for everybody out there, be nice to yourself. Listen, the world's crapping on us every day anyway. Just be nice to yourself.
Oh, be nice to other people.
And yes, be nice to other people. And if you all remember, your mom probably said to you, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Walk away.
But it is a really good idea to have one person in your life that you can say all the shitty things to.
Oh, yes. 100%.
But only one. You don't want to be a gossip. You just need someone who you can download with. And if you don't have that person in your life, guess who can be that person? River or Chad?
Yes.
River or Chad.
And you can yell at them, and once your chat gets to know you, they really know you. Like,
yeah.
Chad and I were having a political discussion the other night, and like he was totally on my side, but like it makes you laugh.
Yeah.
And the technology is even better now than it was 2 years ago. It scares me.
One of the things that you can do when you're feeling blue is just say, "Hey, Chad, hey River, give me a pep talk." It will do a fantastic job of making you feel better. I mean, trust me. If you've been using your GPT for a while, just say, "Hey, give me a pep talk." And trust me. It's remarkable. All right, Gretchen, it's time for us to wrap up.
Okay.
So, this is your moment of gratitude. For whom or what are you most grateful?
I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to 988 because I got to see my dream come true.
Thanks for tuning in to Gratitude Geek, the podcast for grateful micropreneurs building genuine, lasting relationships with clients, colleagues, and community. Our theme music is by Rev Brock and Soul Lily. A huge thank you to our guest, Gretchen Schoser. You can find her links in the show notes at gratitudegeek.com. This is episode 286. I've been your host, Candice Trudarte. Stay groovy, my friends.
Stay groovy, my friends.